there! Welcome to the Forge, and welcome to my noob progression character that I'm using in another series. Yeah, I know I look completely dripped out. Today I wanted to just have a video where I talk about a little bit of the shop in the Forge. Mostly about the game passes, the totems, and all the other stuff that you can buy, and just answer a question that I think a lot of people have about this game. Are these worth the money? Now, I did a short on this as well, and I think my opinion's kind of changed on it just a little bit over time since I made that. I actually do think there's some really half-decent stuff in here if you're willing to spend a little bit of money. So why don't we begin from the beginning and talk about the Fast Forge. Now, the Fast Forge, if you don't know, it skips out the first two phases of your forging, which is when you're using the bellows to blow air into the forge to make it hotter, and the second part, which is when you're pouring the molten ore into the mold. Now, honestly, realistically, I thought it wasn't really that good initially, but I think genuinely if you're trying to level up your achievements, or if you're really just going for accumulating a bunch of ore and doing massive amounts of forging, the first two sections, especially when you're making heavy gear, takes up like 75% of the time actually spent making an item. So it's one of the cheapest of the entire set. It's not the highest on my list of things I would want to get, but it's definitely somewhere in the middle. The supporter perk, if you spend 379 Robux, is game leaks in the Discord. I think you get a roll as well, and you get 10% XP and 10% extra luck. For the price, it could be worth it if you've been playing it a lot, if you've put in a lot of hours like I have. It might be worth it for you. That being said, I do not think this is on the top list of your priorities if you're going to be buying a Game Pass. Forge Anywhere is pretty decent, but I realistically think that unless you're really dedicated to being AFK and never moving from a spot, you're never really that far from town. And let's be honest, if you are far from town, which I doubt, you can always just leave, rejoin, and it'll teleport you straight there. It's just the most expensive Game Pass, but I really think it probably provides the least amount of benefit. Better Forge, as far as I can tell, adds 30% quality to everything that you make, which if you're super bad at the minigames and clicking on the circles, this might be one for you. It is a little bit more expensive than some of the other ones though. If you're pretty good at the minigame though, and you have the dwarf race, you may just want to stick with that one because that gives you 5% better forging, and if you're generally hitting perfects on pretty much everything, most of the time you'll end up getting a masterwork anyway. Sell Anywhere is one that I have, and it is very useful if you're spending a lot of trips being AFK. Being able to just dump all of the bad ore into the shop to sell it while you're scouting out for better ore just seems like a economical thing to get. It's pretty cheap, it lets you stay down there longer, and also if you're not really worried about actually making anything from the ore, you're just looking for better ore, it's good to sell off your bulk. Double storage as well is probably the best one in my opinion. It's my favorite, and it's also the cheapest. Doubles your capacity, much longer trips, not having to juggle your inventory around, not having to go and forge stuff and use items that you maybe don't want to use just to clear out your inventory a little bit. Super duper useful. Every single one of the totems, I think people probably have opinions on this. I think the radius got buffed really hard from the last time I remember using them, but generally speaking, I am not sure they're tremendously worth your money. You get them sometimes in codes, so I would probably say stick with that. There's also events every weekend, like mining power events and stuff like that, so if you're really desperate to get one of these and you want to spend Robux, you can. However, I probably wouldn't recommend it. Rerolls are probably the thing that most people are going to spend their money on. If you haven't got Angel or Demon and you want Angel or Demon, this is what you're going to be spending it on. It's not too unreasonable. It's kind of expensive for the rerolls as well, but at the same time, there's a reason why people want to go for these. It's because they're super good. As well as that, we have the cash packs, which I generally just don't think are worth the money. 30k you can get in a couple of hours when you're a little bit later into the game. You certainly do not need to spend 1200 Robux on it, and 50 Robux for 750 dollars in the game is also just, it's not going to make a difference to you. It really isn't that big a deal. Trust me, all it takes is a little bit of playtime and you'll be making money like that, no problem. So that's all the Game Pass in the game. I really actually genuinely think that the Forge has some of the best monetization I've ever seen in a Roblox game. Most of them are just trying to suck your money out by any means necessary, but the Forge, all of the Game Passes seem pretty fair. It seems like you get a decent amount of value out of them as well, and I can appreciate that. What do you think about the Game Passes? Let me know which ones you have, which ones you're wanting to get, or which ones you think that they should add. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you learned something, or maybe you've decided to make a purchase on the game, please let me know. Subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you later. See ya!